Okay, so hopefully Emerald will be able to join us. Hopefully Emerald will be able to join us just shortly. But hi everyone, thank you so much for joining in today. On today's call, we have with us Ngesa Marvin, and he will do a quick intro shortly. Today's call will be focused on Google AI and machine learning. And I'm already super excited because, with all the new changes that we have with AI and machine learning, there's never a better time to get started and learn a lot. So Marvin is a Google developer expert in machine learning, but I will leave it to him to introduce himself. If you have any questions at all during the session, please go to, if you see this, there's a tiny little triangle, square, and circle sign on that called activities on your phone or your laptop. Once you get to that activities, just click on it and then you're able to ask your questions on that Q&A. Thank you so much, everyone. Over to you, Marvin. Let's start with a quick introduction.
Thank you, Sadiq, for the introduction, and thank you, everyone, for joining. It's great to see you, and it's great to also have all of you join for this call. So, as Sadiq has said, my name is Marvin Ngesa. I'm joining in from Nairobi, and I'm a Google developer expert for machine learning. And today, I'm going to take you through a tool called Google AI Studio, and generally give you probably the basics of AI before I take you to the Google AI Studio. And in between, feel free to ask questions. There's a link that has been shared on the chat. Please feel free to make good use of it. Okay, so I think I'll just go straight away. I believe you guys can hear me together with my accent. All right, okay, let me share my slide. Okay, so if you can see my slide, please let me know. Just give me a second. I think I have like a bunch of slides opened here. Okay, I've got it. Okay. Can you see my slide?
Please react if you can see a slide. Okay, awesome. Yes, they can.
But I can't see when you guys are reacting because it's on full screen. Can you?
Oh, but I'll just definitely let you know if you've lost you at any point in time.
All right. Is it on full screen on your side?
Yes, it is on full screen. Can you send a party popping emoji? A party popping emoji if you can see the slide clearly. Okay, awesome. They can.
All right. So thank you for that. We've always been hearing about AI, machine learning, and deep learning. And of course, I know most of you uses ChatGPT. It's been a big deal since last year, but it's been difficult probably to differentiate between AI, ML, and deep learning. We have people interchangeably using these words, and sometimes most of the guys in marketing just uses AI, and in school you hear machine learning, and in some forums or events you hear deep learning, and maybe you're confused between the three of what they are. So since this session is about Google AI Studio, probably I need to help you differentiate the three and also what they are exactly. So probably going to start with artificial intelligence. And AI is generally, you would say, something that behaves almost similar to a human being. And by that, I mean something that can sense the environment and can reason from what it's sensing and can also act from it. But most importantly, it can also adapt from what it's sensing. So anything that behaves that way, we could say it's an AI. And sensing is ideally being able to identify and recognize meaningful objects or even concepts that are in the data that you're having. And reasoning is almost understanding the larger context of what you're trying to build. And then after that, we also have machine learning. And you'd say machine learning is basically an algorithm that whose performance improves over time when you give it more data. Meaning that, and I'll show you in the next slides, that you can think of it probably like, let's say, matrix manipulation, or playing with a function, or trying to make a guesswork with a function. And every time you make a guesswork, you try to figure out the error that you're making and how to minimize that error in that particular function that you're trying to have. And that function you can think of it as an algorithm, but I'll show you in the next slide, so don't worry about it. But just know that you have a function or an algorithm, and when its performance improves over time, as you give it more data, then you can consider that thing as an ML. And machine learning, of course, falls under the AI we talked about. But then under machine learning, we also have deep learning. And in deep learning, this is where you're going to have things like neural networks, which I'm going to show you in a few. But you're also having like large amount of data, more data than the one you have in machine learning.
Seems to me like we've lost Marvin in Ngesa, so let's just give him a few seconds for him to be back. So I think one thing that we really need to work on in AI, and if you agree with me, let me know, is we need to figure out a perfect internet connection that never goes offline. Maybe we can use machine learning to discover that. Or what do you guys think?
It's very important.
Honestly think that we definitely need an AI or machine learning for that, so that everything just works seamlessly. But I already see some questions. So if you have any questions at all, AI, ML, please use the Q&A feature. If you click on the activities, those three shapes, just click on it. I already see one question already, so please put all your questions there. Okay, I think Marvin is
Yeah.
back.
Mm.
Yeah,
Welcome
sorry
back.
about that. I think something happened to my meet. Yeah,
Welcome.
I don't know how. Okay, let me share it again.
Mm.
Hope you can see it. Just let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, we can see
You
it.
can see the
Yes.
okay, the entire screen, yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. All right. And so, and for what's happening? Okay, yeah. Okay, perfect. And for an ML, there's a way that you've been traditionally programming, where you have data and then you have rules rules on top of this data, then they give you answer. But in machine learning, it's different, because you will be having data and answers to the data. You'll be having, let's say, an image of a cat or an image of a football player, and then an answer that this is a football player. And then you have the model or the function you're building to create a relationship between the data you provided to it and the answer you've given it. So when it comes with these ones, you'll say that it has come up with rules from this one, and it's different from the traditional one, where you have rules that are on data and giving you answers. So that's how machine learning it's different from classical programming. One example I usually give is, for example, if you see my screen, you can see values of X and values of Y. You can see that maybe you have 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. And then for every single of that value, let's say you have 7, and then you have 14, then you have 21, then 28. So if you take a keen look at the numbers above, you could see that at some point, you could realize that there is a relationship between X and Y. And if you check on that relationship, you could find out that probably, or rather, the relationship is Y is equal to 7X, or even a number close to 7, let's say 6.9x, and not necessarily 7, with what you're having. So having that relationship, having that function, is an algorithm, or it's kind of an ML. And if you check on all this, you'd say machine learning or deep learning is more of matrix manipulation. Most of the time, you're going to try to find or approximate y as a function of x. What is the best? What if I have a distribution of data? How can I best describe it? Which function best describe it, or which algorithm best describe it? If I feed it with more data over time, and then once I have that one, then the next time I show it an example of an x, can I be able to get a value of y? For example, here, if I give it, let's say 8, can I get the value of the next value of y? Because I've given it a value of x, 8 as a value of x. Can I get the answer to y from it? And also, if you check on this, you realize that x act as an input, and then you have a y as an output. And then in between, you have some processing that you're doing. And by processing, I mean, you're trying to do multiplication, you're trying to do addition. I mean, there's some mathematics you're doing in between, which you can call processing, and then goes into y. And that's almost the same way that our brain behaves. Because in our brain, you have inputs from in your eyes, you have inputs on your ears, and then your brain, there's a way that it nicely transforms the inputs. It nicely does for you computation. It nicely does processing for you, and then give you output. So let me just grab a pen here, or a laser pointer. So for example, this one here, you can see that you can provide some inputs to this we can call it a neuron, and then out of it you'll have an output. So this is like a single neuron, and this ML algorithms or ML models that you're working on, they start from simple things like this one, like linear units, that behaves almost similar to the neuron in our brain, and therefore, or hence the neurons we're having in the machine learning models. And also, if you check on it, of course, to build an ML model, or for an ML model to be trained, first of all, you'll give it like a lot of data. Or you feed data into the network. And then there's something called forward propagation. And that forward propagation, you're going to do some mathematics. You're going to do some multiplication, some additions. Let's say the weight and bias, you multiply the weight and the input, you're going to multiply them together, then add to the bias, then you get an output. And once you have the forward propagation, you're also going to figure out how is my value that I've got different, or how does it differ from the original value, or the ground truth, or the answer, the true answer. Then once you figured out the difference, then now you can try to find a way in which you reduce that error through back propagation, the same way you can see on my screen. And then you repeat this over and over again until you have a function that can describe for you a distribution somewhere, or describe for you a particular data somewhere. And if you see this one on the screen, you can see that there's some mathematics on it that's going on. But the good thing is that Google provides you with a lot of tools that can help you to work on all these ones. Google provides you with tools that can help you to describe what you'd want the model to do for you. Google will also help you with tools that can help you to be able to do for you the mathematics that's happening in this particular model. So one of those tools is called Keras. So Keras can help you to be able to allow you define the model that you're having. It's a simple API that allows you to define the neural network architecture. And it has built-in things like optimizers and loss functions. And then after that, also you have some infrastructure or a tool that helps you to do the mathematics below Keras. Or you would say that could help you do something called automatic differentiation below the Keras. And those tools include things like TensorFlow, things like JAX from Google. You have others like PyTorch as well. So all the things I showed you here. So Keras help you define the network, and then TensorFlow help you to do the automatic differentiation, define the tensors, the variables, and all that. And in all these ones, at the end of it, you can train a model probably on mangoes, like on my screen, or on cats, or on dogs, to a point where if you show the model the image of a mango, it will tell you this one is a mango. If you show the model an image of let's say a house, to tell you, I think this one is a house. Yeah. So you have inputs, you have a model, then you have an output from it. But what if you can turn this the other way around, so that instead of showing a model an input like this one, let's say an image input, then it gives you a prediction from it. What if you show what if you can give a text, yeah, to a model somewhere, or an image to a model somewhere, and then it gives you an output from it? What if it can on its own generate for you things on its own, instead of you just having the answer that you're having? And that could take us to things called generative AI. So, of course, in AI and ML, you have you can divide them into supervised learning and supervised learning, reinforcement learning, etc., and even deep learning, which we've talked about. And supervised learning is where you're having both values of X and Y. You're having the features and the target. And then in unsupervised learning is where you just have the features, but you don't have the target. And then you also have deep learning that I've talked about, where you're having more layers and more data in that. But also, there's something exciting called generative AI, where if where you can generate new similar data, you can generate new data similar to the data that it was trained on. So if you trained a model on, let's say, a bunch of texts, then it can generate for you similar things from the text. Or if you train a model on some images, it can generate for you content around the image that you trained it on. And then probably you've also heard about LLMs, since we've been having the generative AI thing around, which is exciting. And probably you're wondering, what is an LLM? You've been hearing it here and there. Of course, probably you've heard that it stands for large language models. But you could say an LLM is a neural network that's trained on large data sets. It's basically you can have like trillions and trillions of texts and trillions and trillions and trillions of images, of audio, of video, and then you'll have a neural network that will detect complex patterns in this text, or complex patterns in these images, or complex patterns on audio, and even code today. So that if you give it an input, maybe let's say like here, if you give it an input called it's raining cats and something, then on its own it will figure out that probably I've been having, I mean, in my data, there's more dogs that have been used compared to any other word after what I'm having. And then it will say, probably, I think the answer to this will be dogs. So that's how an LLM probably works, or rather LLM work. And then probably wondering, okay, now that's LLM, but what is this large in the large language models? So basically, it means that you are having like lots of data, lots of training data, trillions and trillions of them. And then you're also having like lots and lots of parameters to the data. And you're also having like expensive TPUs for the data. So that's why they're calling it the large or large language models. And then for the parameter, probably you're wondering, okay, what does this thing mean? Of course, I've told you what a neural network is from the neuron. But you'd say they're just algorithms that have multiple layers that are layered together, of course, between input data and the output data. And then also you have the model weights, which you can call the parameters of the LLMs. And the parameters are usually directly proportional to the number of neurons that are in the model. And then also from this, you've also probably heard about foundational models and all that. Of course, I know you guys have used ChatGPT, but also I think last year you guys had the big news about you've heard about the Llama, first of all, which is open source. Of course, there are open source models and also the private models. So Llama, I think, is from Facebook. I've also seen, I think, Hugging Face ambassadors. So probably you've heard about Hugging Face as well. Those ones are open source models. But last year, also Google released something called Gemini. I think it's called Gemini or Gemini, which is also a foundational model, and that's saying it's Google's largest and most capable AI model today. And this Gemini, if you compare it with, they're saying if you compare it, if they take like the best, if they take 50 tasks, the best people in different 50 tasks, then Gemini can perform better than all of them in every single task that they're good at. If you have an expert, let's say in coding, or an expert in doing this other thing and this other thing, 50 of them, different kind of tasks, Gemini can perform way better than all those experts in those particular verticals. So, and then you also have things like MMLU. And ideally what MMLU means is that it's massive multitask language understanding. But I'll show you how to play with this one. But the good thing is that also Google is enabling developers to be able to use Gemini. You can use it on your code, in your apps, etc. And in fact, today, I'm going to show you how you can get started using Gemini on a tool like Google AI Studio. They're saying the fastest way to start using Gemini is with Google AI Studio, which is basically a web-based tool that can let you to prototype and run prompts right from your browser. So it's just an IDE almost similar to the one that you're using, but it's an IDE in the cloud. Yeah. And then when you are prompting, also, if you get something that exciting from it, let's say you're writing a prompt or you're playing with images and all that, if there's something that excites you, you can actually go ahead and get code from it. You can export the code. You can export it to a VS Code. You can export it to Colab for the guys who have been using Colab, or even export it to Android Studio and use it there, as long as you're able to have the keys from Google AI Studio. So probably we should try it out. Okay. Let me go here. I hope you guys can still hear me. Let me, okay. And I hope I'm not that fast as well. So, okay, let me get my Colab.
I think that as you're trying to get your Colab, I think there are introductory questions that we can definitely start from. So somebody is asking that what are the types of ML? I don't know whether you touched on that already.
Yeah, so you could say the supervised learning. So on ML, you could say the different types. There's supervised learning. And then there's so in supervised learning is where you have, how do I call it? You have features, yeah. You have the values of X and also values of Y. You have both the features and the answers or the target that you want. That's supervised learning. You also have unsupervised learning, and in unsupervised learning, you just have features without the answers. Yeah, you just have, let's say, customer data. And that customer data, you can segment it. You can have them into clusters without necessarily knowing what's in those particular clusters. But you can see that these particular customers behave in this particular way, or this particular customer also behave in this particular way. So that's an unsupervised learning. I could show you an example. I think I have them in some deck here. So yeah, there's supervised learning, there's unsupervised learning, there's reinforcement learning as well. So yeah, those are the types of ML. I don't know if you have another question.
Yes, we do, definitely. I think that somebody has asked that also on that, as a continuation of that question, what specific functions do they perform? I think the example that you want to show, I think that will sort of answer, and I think you also went through some of those examples during your presentation, the functions that they perform.
All right, so under the types of machine learning, usually have algorithms. Yeah, so you have algorithms that you can, let's say, use in supervised learning. For example, in supervised learning, you have things like regression and classification. And in unsupervised learning, you can have, let's say, clustering, and in these different ones, you can be able to have, how do I call it? You can be able to do different tasks from them. For example, if you have, let's say, news from Google, and they have like particular thing in them, you can be able to cluster all things, all news that have that particular word as a cluster. I can show you something here so that you can get it well, so that I'm not just speaking about it. Let me just share this so that at least you can get more context. Can you see my screen?
Okay, yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah. So these are the things I was talking about: the supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Where in supervised learning, you have values of X and values of Y, and X are the features, Y are the answers. And then, or in other words, you have data points that have known outcomes or that have answers. But in unsupervised learning, you have data points, but you don't have the outcomes. You don't have the answers from them. But still, the data in some way makes sense for you. Let's say in clustering, for example, you can have let's say, how do I call it? Maybe I should just show you an example here. I think I have an example somewhere here. Yeah, maybe you have people in a group, let's say in a class, and then or even customers. But you can see that these customers, there's some kind of unique thing that they have in different places. You don't necessarily know how the name of that group where they are, but you can check on maybe how they're growing skills and knowledge, or how they're staying updated with the AI, or how they're doing career development. You don't necessarily know the naming of the group, but you can see that they have some characteristics of them, meaning that the characteristics, you have some values of X, but you don't have the values of Y from them. Yeah, like this one for the news. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I think so. Please let me see a reaction if you got the answer to your question. Yes, people are reacting. So there's also another question as you're trying to go to the next thing, and I think is a good idea to be integrating questions. Somebody is asking that what's the relationship between data science and machine learning, and do I need to know one to know the other? That's a question from Solomon.
Yeah. So I think so data science falls under machine learning, and if you know one, it's very easy for you to go to the other one. It's how do I call it? The basic foundations, like having, how do I call it? Trying to approximate Y as a function of X is still the same. Same in machine learning, same in data science, and same in deep learning. Still, you'll be able to work with structured data. You'll still be able to work with unstructured data. So once you have foundation in one, it's very easy to grow and move to the other ones, from AI, from information learning to deep learning to even data science. Yeah.
Awesome. And I think just before you go ahead with your presentation on the examples, there's a question here also from Williams. So how do you sort of integrate AI into a platform or system?
In fact, I have an example.
Awesome.
that I have in my code that I was going to show you today. That how you can play with prompts in Google AI Studio, and then how you can extract that code, then take it to VS Code, and then use it as part of your code in VS Code. But usually, how people integrate, let's say, models into their platform is that you'll build an AI model somewhere. Of course, it needs some kind of infrastructure, some kind of resources. Then once you build that AI model, and you'll need to deploy it somewhere. There's some MLOps that you need to do, either deploy it as an endpoint somewhere, and then once you deploy it, then you can use it as an API in your code. Yeah. Or today we have, how do they call them? today we have pre-trained models. Yeah, pre-trained models that you can just get the package and then create an object from that package, then just use it directly on your model. So there's pre-trained models already, or even you can have a model that you've trained somewhere, and then you just use it as an API in your website or whatever you want to use. Okay, should I proceed?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
All right. Okay. So let me share my screen. Let me just share the entire screen. I think I have it here. Is it here? Yeah, it's this one here. So I'm going to share the direct link to the Google AI Studio. But when you open it, this is what the first thing that you'll see. Before, it used to be called a Maker Suite before, but today it's called Google AI Studio. And it gives you a range of functionalities. But when you open it, of course, there are terms of service that you'll accept here, then you continue. And then when you open it, this is like the interface that you'll see. Yeah, this is the interface that you'll see. And then the first thing you're going to see here is the API key. You guys have been talking about API, but you can be able to get some keys here that can help you to integrate what you're working on in other places. Can help you to move this code from Google AI Studio all the way to, let's say, Colab. I'm going to show you how to use it in Colab, don't worry. And even how, and you can still also take that API key and use it in VS Code. I'm going to show you that one as well, so don't worry about it. But if you open it, the three things that you can create from it, there's the free prompt, then there's also the structured prompt, and then there's also the chat prompt. And with the free prompt, you can write prompt as text, images, and then it auto continues for you. Then in the structured one, you can have let's say a table, then show it examples, guide the model on how it should behave. Then it will be able to give you answers from it. Then the same way you use ChatGPT, you can also be able to write charts, have history, and use the chat prompt from the Google AI Studio. Then I think that's what's there. Let me probably try to create one like this one here. So if I go here, I can create any from this point. Let's say free prompt. Then I'll have something like this. Then here you have the foundational models, or the pre-trained models already from Gemini, the one we just talked about on my slides. You have Gemini Pro and even Gemini Pro Vision. So in Pro, this is where you can use the text. Ideally, it's for large language models that we've talked about. I mean, for natural language processing for it. And then this one, you can be able to use computer vision, or you can be able to deal with images, and even combination of images and both texts. So I think there's some that are created here already, a bunch of these. For example, let's say this one here. Let's say give me a guide on how to cook, let's say jollof rice. Then it will give you like a range of different ways you can, it will give you step-by-step guide on how you can cook jollof rice, the ingredients you need, and even how you can prepare it, how to make the tomato sauce, all the way to different steps. And then probably, maybe you're learning in class and you want to know, how do I call it? You want to know something from class, let's say, like I said, maybe an ML can be maybe a parametric function. Let's say parametric function. You can tell it to explain to you why an ML model is considered to be that particular thing you're looking for. Then it will give you the code for it. Or maybe if you go back to this one here, I think let me just create a new one here. Just create a new one, maybe a fresh one. Then and then say maybe play with the images. go here, and then probably ask what is in this image. Tell me more about this image. Tell me more about this image. And then I've been following AFCON online. I don't know if you guys know AFCON. So I got this photo here. I think it was posted at 4:30 p.m. Kenyan time today. So I think maybe some 4 hours. Then if you go here, download the image, then upload it without the model knowing anything, you can ask the model about the image, tell you something about the image. So let's see if it knows something about it. Okay, there it is. So remember, Gemini Pro allows you to you can check things on image or even combine both images and texts. So let's see what's happening. Okay, it's running. I think my laptop is slow. Image prompt. Okay, save it. Okay. Then to think about the image, it should give us a response. Let's see. It's taking time, thinking, and all that. But it should probably, okay, yeah. So this image was taken I think was taken some few days ago, but was uploaded today. But can tell you that the image shows 2 football players, one from Nigeria and one from Cameroon. Then the Nigerian player is on the left side, then Cameroonian player on the right side, then give you like more information about it. Then the background of the image is blurred out of the stadium. And you can even go ahead here and ask more questions about it. Maybe which competition are they participating in? Participating in, let's say. Okay, should give us an answer in a few. Then to give you answers there, some different answers. Flow players, the team are participating in, I think it's saying AFCON 2021, AFCON Cup of Nations, like that. So it will give you like some answers around what you're working on. I think that last time I tried, it gave me the correct one. I don't know why it's giving this, but it will give you like more information about the picture. You can see it can check in Nigeria and Cameroon and all that. And then apart from that, also, it also gives you like more things to play with. You can decide to change this temperature up and down. This temperature really just indicates the randomness you want in the photo. Do you want the model to be more creative? If you want to be more creative, you can make the model to be here. If you don't want it to be more creative, you can take it back here. If you want like more concise answer, an answer that is not random, then you can take it back. So that's the temperature that you're having. Then you also have safety settings here. let me just move this on the side, where you can adjust. You can decide to block content on harassment, on hate speech. You can maybe block some, or just block a few, or even like block most of them. So I think this is very nice, especially when you want to ensure that what you're creating is not harmful to the people you're creating it to. So you can decide to change the parameters the way you want. Okay, so those are the models. We've talked about that. You can even change the more settings on them. What's the length? What's the output length that you may want from it? I think maybe I should try like another one as well. Maybe just stick to more jollof or images. And say what is in this image. Of course, I have to change it to Pro since I'm using the one for image. Then maybe grab an image. Maybe upload. Okay, let's say this one here. Okay, it uploaded. Yeah, that is. What type of food? Say what's type. I'm just coming with the prompts of it, what types of food. Food in this image. Okay, let's see. So I'd gone online and then downloaded this food. So let's see if you can tell us what's there, and maybe how to prepare it. So it's saying, okay, the image shows a dish of jollof rice with chicken. Jollof rice is a popular dish in West Africa. Let's say which city? Which city can I enjoy this meal? Okay, can I get this meal? And mind you, it hadn't seen the image, just something that I've downloaded. So it's saying it's a popular dish in West Africa. It's served with chicken, beef, rice. It's a popular dish in many countries in West Africa, including Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal. It's also popular, I think, in other parts of the world, like United Kingdom and United States. Okay, then I'm gonna say, okay, probably give me a step by step guide on how to cook it. Okay. So you can ask question on images, get answers from it, which I think it's exciting. So let's see. It's taking some time. Let's see. But as it runs, you also have you can also be able to get the source code or the code that's getting you this one. For example, I can go here, and then get the code that's giving me all the answers that I'm having. And of course, the code is relying on Gemini API, which you can copy and use it, let's say in your Python code. The guys who are asking about integration, or JavaScript code, or even Android or Swift, or that one. So with Python, of course, you have to install the package, then do the importing. I'll just show you this one on my desktop probably. So is it done? Not yet. Okay. So as we wait for it, let me show you how I can take this to my VS Code and then use it. And this will answer the question that you guys asked. So before I use it, of course, I'll need I'll need to get some key. Okay, so if you go to get API.
Looks like we lost Marvin again. But in the meantime, let me just hear feedback. How are you guys enjoying the session? You can react with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Are you enjoying it? Are you understanding the concept? Awesome. Awesome. I see that a lot of us are really enjoying and understanding it. As for
Yes.
me, I'm just I'm just looking at it.
If there's something you're enjoying about the whole event, you can just write it in the chat description, in the chat box rather, just to, share one or two knowledge that you have learned with others who are on the call. It's a great way to connect with one another. Yeah. Need to wait for him, give him some time to come in.
Okay, so as people are just, so I don't know, I just want to spotlight somebody. So, oh, somebody is trying the model on their hand. Oh, that's really amazing. So does anybody want to share how they are applying Google AI Studio in their project with us? Just raise your hand, then I'll call you. Your solution challenge project, just one person, maybe AI or ML in your project. Anyone?
Mm,
Going, going, going. No one.
oh,
So does
okay.
anyone want to share?
Okay.
Okay, Emrad, I think you can take it instead.
Okay, so I'm sorry, William was like he did not hear you. So he was basically asking if anyone is integrating AI or ML in their solutions challenge project. Is anyone doing that? Oh, I mean, maybe if you guys have not started doing that or did not think about it, this is a great way for you guys to think about it, seeing what he has been doing, Marvin has been doing. It's a great start to it. You can start thinking about integrating it into your solution. The AI world is taking over, and definitely you want to follow the trends when it comes to technologies to have what you need on board for your solutions challenge. So that's great. William said that his team is trying to do it. I wish you guys the best, and I just hope that you guys will be able to integrate it in your system. Yes, Sadiq.
I think maybe in the meantime, as we're waiting for Ngesa to join us back, William, do you want to share a bit more detail about how you are applying AI or ML in your project so that or maybe other people can chip in with whatever tips that they have? Yes. So Williams, you can have the mic.
Um, good, good evening.
Good evening, William.
Yeah, so like I was saying, my team, we are trying to integrate the Gemini AI like that he was talking about.
Okay.
But that's something which we are still trying to research on how we can do it because we're trying to get our assistant that to assist students in like scheduling the schedule, doing the schedule, doing a summary of their notes or research that will be given to them. Yeah, and stuff like that.
No, that's nice. I hope that while he was going through it, you're picking up some things that you guys will use
Yeah.
for your. Oh, that's nice. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Williams. I'm not
Okay.
sure whether Ngesa is here yet. I'm trying to connect with him. So I'm going to just pick up another question that we have in the chat. So I'm seeing a question from Moses. I'm interested in participating in any Google mentorship program for AI or ML in digital health. Any pointers or guidance would be great. So let me try and just take that question. So on my end, I'm not aware of any current mentorship program. However, because Google is a very large company and a lot of things is going on, so two things I would say you should do is number one, you can go to Google search and just type Google mentorship program for students in AI or ML. If there is something, it will come up and you'll be able to take advantage of that. Alternatively, the and I'll pass it to Emerald shortly. The second thing you can also do is that you can also go to BAD, and then sort of put in that query. You will get some suggestions on what you can try. Emerald.
Okay, so another good thing is Moses, for you to asking your community in your school or your campus whether they have an active crowdsource community learning program in your school. Crowdsource offers students or anybody the opportunity for them to contribute to Google's generative AI, and with that program in place, there's a CLC that is active, community learning in society in your school that is active back then using crowdsource in your campus, it is then easier for you to have this mentorship because Google does offer mentorship for students who are under the CLC program using crowdsource or imputing or giving data to crowdsource. There are different levels that you can ascertain. There are lots of remarkable trainings and it comes with certifications. So first of all, you want to ask whether there's such community in your school. If there is not, you can easily Google crowdsource and get in touch with a community manager or get in touch with the Google team over there. And definitely someone from the Google team will get back to you and will provide you with more detailed information.
Thanks a lot, Emerald, for helping to answer that. So I see another question here. Let me just try and see. So somebody has asked, and I think Emerald will answer that. Do I need to know maths to do machine learning specifically, like intense maths, or just a few concepts?
I think you need to know maths. I will not say you should know. I will not say just few concepts because what mathematics, like everything is a building block, right? If you know algebra, you're supposed to solve quadratic functions and stuff like that. So you must not be the best at maths, but you need to have, mathematical knowledge because when it comes to you training your algorithms, diversifying different kind of algorithms when you're training your model or when you're building a predictive model, you definitely need to learn mathematics because it's going to give you an edge while using all these tools. So yes, just try and learn mathematics. Don't just say, oh, just the basic concept and then you're leaving things out of it. Just immerse yourself in maths and whatever you can pick from there, it's fine. You can always build on it when working with all these products. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot, Emerald, for helping us with that answer. So I have a question here from Daniel. How can I use a given model in my training on a given data set or specific? Daniel, do you want to take the mic and clarify your question on the
Yeah.
mic?
Daniel, are you here?
Daniel Intege. Okay, I think it's not here. Trevor.
Yes, hello.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening to everyone. Okay, I'm trying to answer that guy's question who was asking about knowing mathematics for you for machine learning.
Okay.
Like
Go ahead.
basically, you need the mathematics that you need for machine learning is algebra, this normal algebra that we studied in high school, then probably statistics. Because there are some algorithms that deal with probability. So that is statistics. You need to know some statistics math and also algebra. That is basically the mathematics which is in machine learning, not the tense one of integration. That one, I think it's useless. Thank you.
Thank you for your opinion, Trevor. Mark.
Hello, am I audible? Hope there is no echo. Yes, sorry, just to add on what Trevor said, he said that the integration, apologies, just a point of correction. I think you also need calculus. So, as he said, you don't need the stuff to do the integration and the differentiation. You will also need calculus because when you get to the mathematical bit, you'll find a concept known as a gradient descent, where you are trying also to find the the minimum or to have the least loss many in a model when you're training the model. So you also need calculus and stuff. So I believe, or I want to say that you need some concepts in math. So that's just a correction to Trevor. You need those integrations and the differentiation concepts, because when you get now to gradient descent and other slowness cost functions, you need now to work with now the mathematical bit of calculus. Yeah.
So yeah, just like thank you so much, Mark. Just like I said, just get yourself in with maths, and then you can take it off from there anytime. When you get yourself in with maths, all those concepts are going to be familiar with you, and you're going to learn them. You're not just going to pick and choose, because especially in natural processing language, CNN, convolutional networks, you're definitely going to need it. Moses.
Hold on, please. I know that because of time. So Marvin is trying to join back, but I really like this answer from Musa. That really drills it down. So, for example, while I studied engineering in school on a personal level, I cannot do maths to save my life. So, uh, instead, and I use a lot of all these tools a lot. So things around prompt engineering, using API. I never have to use mathematics in that.
Yeah.
But I think that if you want to do like deep machine learning, then some idea of maths might be important. So if you're getting started, you don't really need to know maths. If you're just like me, you'll be just refined, doing some basic things. I don't think he has done anything that is math specific at this point. And then if you then want to go advanced into like how some of those models are beaten deep down, then you can definitely start considering that. So thank you so much, Musa, for that answer. And I know that okay, so let's take Moses, then I'll try and see if there's another question that we have here.
Yeah. Okay, Moses, you're up.
All right, thank you. I think what I wanted to say was briefly highlighted by Sodiq. Math, yes, might be involved in all this stuff, but I don't think it should be a turn off for somebody who is really just coming on board. You should just be aware whenever there is need for it, then you will need to dig into it a little bit, but I don't think you'll need math all through in AI and machine learning. But where it is needed, then you'll go and study maybe about that concept and apply it. But it shouldn't be a turn off when you're just coming on board, really.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Moses. Emrad, I see a question here from Aubrey. Does the Gemini AI has access to the internet? Does it have up-to-date knowledge?
Yes, so it has up-to-date knowledge, unlike the ChatGPT 3.5 that most people use, that the knowledge was cut off from January 2022. So it has up-to-date knowledge about certain things. But for you to be able to use those applications well, or for you to get the best out of those applications, most people or most engineers do what we call prompt engineering. So basically feeding the AI system with lots of questions, helping it to be able to, cipher answers to certain things and filter the right kind of answers to certain questions. In the beginning, when ChatGPT was released, a lot of people were making their chats to be very dumb. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Many people were just like, they'll say, what is 1 plus 1? And let's say 1 plus 1 is 2. And people will not be like, okay, no, it's 1. And the, AI machine, because it's learning, through interaction, it just takes everything in. So the more people use the especially with prompt engineering, the more, it's able to really narrow down the answers, just like how Ngesa was trying to show the temperature in narrowing down answers to specific regions to be more specific in certain things. So yeah, that's how we can do. So it has up-to-date knowledge.
Awesome, thank you. So I see another question here. Is Gemini AI trained model, or it follows inline like GPT? I think maybe I would like to rephrase this to say that what's sort of like the difference between Gemini AI, I think it's pronounced Gemini, and ChatGPT.
So the difference between Gemini AI and ChatGPT is how it is. There's no break in transmission, right? With ChatGPT, there's a lot of pre-saved information, and Chat just goes and fetches it from wherever it's stored. But with Gemini, it's on the go, right? That's why you can identify different players. For example, if we notice what Ngesa used a recent picture of people of two football players at the AFCON tournament, and it was able to identify them especially, even though they were putting on jerseys that are just brought out because of the AFCON. So it's not like if there's no break in transmission, it's something that is current, recent. If you ask it about something that happened today on the global market, it's going to answer you. So there's no break in transmission between it and ChatGPT, and it's able to interpret pictures a lot better. And from those pictures, you can get further prompts, like how he was doing with jollof rice. It identified that it's jollof rice. It identified where you can find people who actually love jollof rice, and it can also identify step by step. So there's a very continuous process when it comes to Gemini, just because it's up to date and it's there, it's seeing things, it's getting its knowledge in real time, unlike the ChatGPT.
Okay, awesome. So there's also another question here, and thank you, Emerald, for just stepping in for all the different questions that we have. I think we need to give a round of applause for Emerald. So with Gemini AI, are we able to scan documents and get relevant information depending on what we want from the document? I think it's possible.
Yeah, it is very possible. Like we saw what he did, he basically can upload a picture. Like, so if you scan and you saved something, it's basically going to appear either in text. If you want to, if I scan, change it to text, or it's going to appear, as a JPEG, or any format of picture. So you can easily just upload it and get specific information that you want. So yeah, it's very possible, just like you said.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let me just see. So there's also another question. What is the ongoing research to prevent LLM model from training on their own data, as the internet is full of AI generated content? I like this question. Very
Okay. So from what I know, from my end, is that there isn't really a full stop per se, that is preventing them from actually learning on themselves. So that's why we have what we call prompt engineering. Engineering is basically the AI tool learning from itself, but just using human engineers to kind of decipher and fine tune what you're doing. I think a very good example of that is the adversary. So you ask the adversary Nibra for different kind of stuff. There's uh hackathon or something that's going on with Google regarding an adversary Nibra, and you ask it for different kind of prompts using safe words, but that trigger certain things, and then you say that it brings out certain unsafe things and things like that. So basically, for now, AI is at the stage whereby AI is really learning from things, and that research has not yet come out fully. Like, yes, it's an ongoing debate, an ongoing research, but there is really no concrete, full force that, okay, this is what we're doing to prevent AI from learning from itself. Because just as we humans, we learn from ourselves, even though Musa might say 1+1 is 2, and I might say 1+1 is 2, we both learn from ourselves. That is the stage that AI is in now. So that is the research that, maybe we'll probably have answers in the future. It might be tomorrow, next tomorrow, we don't know. We learn about AI every day. AI also learns about us every day. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So I see another question here, and this one is interesting. So I'm just gonna hold on it for Ngesa to join. But in the meantime, let me see. Do we have some other questions? As we are trying to get Ngesa back in the line, I think by now we should have an AI that just okay, it's back here.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you, and sorry for that. I think I was having issues with my laptop, not even internet. Let me have a screen. I ended up restarting everything.
Oh, so sorry.
Okay. So I think I was here. I think I wanted to show you guys how to use the AI in your code. So I have VS Code here. I think it's firing up, but let me go back to this one again as it fires up. And once you have your prompt here, remember, first of all, I hope you can see my screen and hear me.
Yes, you can see your screen.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, you can go here. Then you can create your keys, the keys that you're going to use in your code. So you can create the keys here in your project. Then I have like 2 here. You can even create more of them. And then once you have the key, then you can now go to your code. Then okay. I think I'll let this lean for some time. Then once you have the key, you can now go and use it in your code. But apart from that, you still have the prompts that you're working on. And then, okay. Yeah, so on those prompts, you can go here, get the code that you want. I've talked about the different models that we're having, the one for text and the one for vision. The text one is just for natural language processing, and the vision is the one for computer vision, or let's say images, and even how you can use both images and texts. So I think it's loaded already. You install the package, and then once you install the package, of course, I'm hiding my keys here. You can be able to change your configurations files here. I've talked about the temperature. You can move this to 0.5 or 7 or a number close to either 1 or 0, depending on how random you want your answers to be. Then once you have that, you also have safety settings. I think the one that she was talking about, and you just pass. I think it's a dictionary. Pass a list of dictionary in the settings. You have like harm category. You can have block, medium, and above. Block different thresholds, similar to what you're having here. I think there's some here similar to these ones here for harassment, hate speech, sexual content, dangerous content, and all that. So you can be able to do the same also in your code here. And then, of course, you can now create the model at this point. Then you can choose the model you want, Gemini Pro or the one for vision. Then now you can put a prompt here. So I think let me just run it. Then as this one comes up, once you have this response, you can do a bunch of things with them. So let's response dot. You can check on candidates, meaning that if you see how bad works, usually you can have more than one answer. So with candidates, you can have more than one candidate of the answer that you need. Maybe candidate A, B, or C, or 1, 2, 3. So you can be able to do that and be able to get the candidates that you want. So it has some attributes, some methods that you can be able to call on that response that you're getting. So let me run this one. I think it's called Python GDSC _ Gemini. I hope that's the spelling. Okay. Yeah, then it should be able to even run locally in your code. And this is one way that you can integrate it to your apps. Remember, it's not just Python alone. You have for Android, you have JavaScript, etc., etc. But let's see if it's giving us some answer. Yeah, you can see you have answers from it. So you can see, okay, Google I/O. What's Google I/O annual conference? Here's some highlights of Google I/O 2019, etc., etc. You can change the prompts the way you want, or even what is GDSC. GDSC. I think this is the one that we asked in the Google AI Studio. And this is by just using the API that you're having. And it actually gives you all this code here. So you won't even worry about the code. You just make a few changes to it. Like on my side, the key changes I made was just the environmental variables or the API key. Okay. Then gives you outputs that you can now decide to do whatever you want to do with it.
Someone tell me that we didn't just disappear again. But it's really interesting.
Know, this network is something else.
It's really interesting about like the limits of what you like. Literally, is no limits to what you can do, because you can really just apply it on different layers. And I see a question from Ivy. Can you feed it with your own data? Emerald, do you want to take that?
Okay, so yes, definitely you can feed it with data. I mean, what is data? Data is, anything that we, information that we give. It's the same thing with our pictures. For you to have pictures, for us to have pictures, for example, now you can upload pictures on it. So basically, you can feed it with your data. Your picture is data. So yeah, you can feed it with your data.
Okay, awesome. So I would okay, Marvin is back here. Um, we need an AI that automatically does never lets anyone goes offline. So once you are trying to go offline, it will just automatically create a clone of you on the call and then to keep speaking for you. That way it saves us all of this. I think it's possible, right? Can do it on Gemini. I see Marvin is still frozen, but while it's trying to unfreeze, I also have a question here from Mark. He's saying that in traditional machine learning, there's a tool like Grid Search CV, which gives the best parameter to fit a model, hence giving the best accuracy. In deep learning neural network, say for example, you're working on a CNN model, is there any tool to give the best parameter of a model for best accuracy in deep learning neural network? I think while Marvin is trying to set up, Emerald, do you want to take that? Because I see that I think
Okay.
Marvin is trying to set up.
Yeah, so there are tools to give the best parameters for model, right? We have we have a lot of method. In deep learning and neural network, the best way to fighting hyperparameter is through tuning, through hyperparameter tuning. And one of the popular method is random search. So we have something like Bayesian optimization, the Keras, he has mentioned so much about Keras. So yeah, Keras is really a very fine tool. Even TensorFlow hyper parameter tuning is very important. The Keras tuner is an open source Python library, right? That helps us to tune in or to tune Keras model. It supports hyperband, random search, optimization, and it integrates very seamlessly, with other things, just like how he mentioned, Keras helps integrate with TensorFlow and whatever hardware component you have going on in. Same thing too with TensorFlow hyper parameter tuning. It provides its own tools. For example, you have the tf.keras.optimizers, the search schedules. I have the tf, I think the Keras.collaborate or callbacks. I think it's callbacks. Yeah. So all these tools are tools that will help you to dynamically adjust the learning rate and other hyperparameters during training.
Thank you, Emerald. I think Ngesa is back with us. Ngesa, please can you confirm that you can hear me? Okay, I don't think he's back. If you are speaking, you are muted. So,
Oh yeah, I was muted. You can hear me, yeah?
yes, we can hear
Yeah.
you now. I think
Don't
maybe
turn
before
your
you
mic.
go, do you have some additions to add to that question that Emerald just answered?
Yeah, I think she's handled it well. She's even mentioned Keras Tuner, which is a good tool to help you figure out your hyperparameters. So I think she's handled it well. Yeah.
Awesome. So we can proceed
Okay.
now.
All right. So apologies for that. Don't turn off your mic so that I can hear when you don't turn, just leave it there. I can hear some feedback.
Okay. All right
Yeah,
then.
because I don't notice at all. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know where it got lost, but I got my environment variable somewhere here, and I've been able to load them on the code. Those are just the few things I've changed on the code. Otherwise, the other things I've just got them right from here. Get code. So just get code. I have the code here. Install the packages that I need to use. Then I have the packages, and then you remember we were changing the configurations. These ones here, the settings and configurations. You can change this depending on what you want, either 0 or 1 or whatever. And this depends on how random you'd want your answers to be. Do you want them to be more random or to be more concise and more closer with each other, or more creative? If you want to be more creative, you can maybe have like 1. If you want it to be more random, maybe 0.2 there or something. And then if you remember, we also have the safety settings. If I go here, we have the safety settings here that I showed you, the one you can change on harassment, hate speech, and all these ones here. You can see also pass all these ones as dictionaries in the code, like this one here. You can pass them. So depend if you want to like block most of them or some or just a few, you can be able to change that here as well in the code. Meaning that apart from just doing this one here on the Google Studio, you can still also do this on your app. And it will just work almost, just the same way. For example, here I'd ask what is GDSC, then it gives me answers there in real time. I can answer more and more questions to it, and it will just give me the answers to it. The same way, just giving me the answer in the Google AI Studio. Okay, then apart from this, also you have a choice to use Colab. So of course, JavaScript, you can have the code for JavaScript. It's almost similar way. Android, the guys for Swift, etc., etc. But also you can have all this on Colab. So I have a Colab somewhere here. I hope it's, where is it? Should be this one.
Oh wow. Okay. So he has left us again.
Fight for network, when on the journey to make sure that there is AI everywhere. I think I've said it before, we need somebody to really come up with a solution that it just clones everybody. So I see a question here that I think Emma can help us to answer. So how much abstraction does Gemini AI provide for someone who does not know too much about machine learning and data science? And how much freedom does it give to an experienced person to modify and add on?
So thank you for the question, Aubrey. How much abstraction does Gemini AI provide for someone who does not know too much about machine learning? A lot. Okay, I think Ngesa is back. Did he just leave? Okay, check it out. Okay, so
it's
yeah, back.
I don't even notice when you get. I hope you guys were able to get all this because I was just moving and moving. Then I realized that I can't hear anything from the background. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying that you can come and then pick a key from this point. Then once you have the key, the same way you integrated it on your Colab or local environment, you can also use Colab with it. Then I was showing you that when you are working with a prompt, of course, you have these different ways of using it: Swift, Android, Python, JavaScript, etc. But you can also use it on Colab the same way you're using it on the VS Code. And if you go to Colab, all you need to do is to add the key at this particular point, but ensure that you are able to enable the access point at this point, then provide the value to it. Then it also gives you a way to access that key or get the key from this point. So let me just enable it at that point. Then once you enable it, you can be able to install the packages that you need. Then you can create a function that helps you to show the response that you need from the model. But don't even need to have this one. This one is just there to just show you the response you need. You can just go ahead and call the methods from the what you can call either attributes or methods from the function. Then you'll be able to get them, like here, response.text. So in this one here, you can be able to, of course, you need to retrieve the key, the one that you've set here already. So retrieve it. And then once you retrieve it, you can also list the models that you're having. Remember that at the moment, you just have like 2 models that you're using. You have the Pro and the Pro Vision. So let me go back here. Yeah, you can see that they've been listed already. Then you can go ahead and start asking, you can load the model. So you remember you got this Gen AI. We imported it somewhere here. Where is it? Yeah, here. Import this one as Gen AI. Then once you import it, you can now load the model that you're going to use here, Gemini Pro. And then you'll have this function that now you can pass. You can pass the text that you want. So I can pass this text, which is a GDSC. Then I can get a response from the text, similar to the one that I had somewhere here. So you can just ask any text from it. And then what else? You can decide to convert them to Markdown, like this one here. Then you have them into Markdown. Just different ways of using them in Google Colab. I can decide to check on the response.prompt. What kind of response are you having? Is it harmful, not harmful? What's the probability that you have like harmful sexually explicit content from the response, or the probability of having hate speech from the content? So you can just call this one on the response part of it, then you get it. And then also I talked about the candidates, where you don't necessarily need to have one answer. You can have different answers from the response that you can play with. What else? Also, you may want to have the data to come in stream, not just come once. They can come in stream, then you break them into chunks. And all you need to do is just set the stream to be true. I think all these are just the same as the one we've been having, where you have this function, then pass in this one here, but you set up the stream to be true. Then you'll be able to have them into chunks. Then now you can load them into those chunks that you want. I think if you do the one for GDSC, we'll be able to have like the chunks nicely down here. So there's just a range of things you can do with it. Check on the prompt feedback, a range of things. I've talked about how to do the configurations on the code here already. Same way you can do it on the other side. So again, I mean, it allows you to do a range of things on this side, and still you can be able to export all this all the way to your VS Code and even Colab. Of course, relying on the Gemini model. I think just like a high overview of it. I don't know if you guys have questions.
This has been so amazing. Emerald, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Thank you so much.
So I think we should maybe go into some of the questions that we have. Please, if you do have other questions that has not been answered, please put it in the Q&A so that Emerald can ask Ngesa. Over to you both.
Okay, thank you so much, Ngesa. I mean, even with the trials and tribulations of networks, you still came on top. And we're able to have such a beautiful session. I'm sure each and every person here today is really happy that they made it here. So much to learn and so much to unpack. So yeah, we can see everybody. So please let's celebrate Ngesa. These are clapping emoji, celebrating emoji. Yeah, that's right. That's really good. So some questions. We have some questions for you. What role does AI Studio play in fostering innovation and creativity among students who are participating in the solution challenge?
Okay, so first of all, it gives you the foundation models. Like I told you, it gives you the two key models: the models for Pro and the models for Vision. The one for NLP and the one for Cloud. So you don't necessarily go and start building models on your own from scratch. You already have models somewhere that you can use. Then secondly, you can be able to even get code. You can be able to write prompts from it, get answers the way you need it. Then at the end of it, you can be able to extract code that you can be able to use in your code, in your project that you're working on somewhere. So it allows it makes your work simpler. You don't have to train any model. You don't have to write like long lines of code. You'll have something that you can easily use in your project.
Okay, thank you so much.
And then
today,
I could add that and what it gives you to use in your model is very, very powerful. I think like three days ago or 4 days ago, the latest Gemini model is more powerful than even GPT-4. And I also said that it's the answers it gives you, if you compare how it performs, if you check on 50 different subjects or verticals, it performs way better than the expert in those verticals. So imagine that the power of that in your applications.
Wow, that's really, really nice. And I'm sure all of us are so excited about it. So during our discussion today, you made mention of how Keras can be integrated along with TensorFlow, and you talked about how they could work seamlessly together. So, is it possible for AI and TensorFlow, the AI Studio and TensorFlow, to work together?
So, I think the question you should ask yourself is why would you? So, why would you want to run Keras TensorFlow and the Studio? Again, Keras and TensorFlow helps you to build a model. Yeah, the Studio gives you a model that's ready. You already have models that have been built ready, which you just use in your model. Yeah, if you want to start from scratch, you can build your model somewhere on the scratch, but you won't have to integrate the two of them together. Yeah, because you're not doing any training.
Yeah,
and the two are good for training. Yeah.
Okay, that's very clear. So, how can students use the AI Studio to fine tune their AI models for improved performance?
So I haven't seen a place where you do fine tuning. I think it's more of asking questions to the model, asking more questions to the model, being creative with the prompts. How do you combine the texts and the images together? And then after that, you now have because ideally what you're trying to get, if you check what you're having here, is that you're going to install a package, this package here, and that package already have a model, which you just need to go and use, and that model is like the best of the best around. So yeah.
Okay, that's nice. So
but I could add that you have a chance to make changes to the configurations to give you different outputs. So that there are settings that you can be able to change to get different outputs from it as you build them, as you get the answers.
So one question is, how much freedom does the AI Studio give to an experienced person to modify?
Freedom?
Yeah.
No, I think they just allow you to use the APIs on your code. But the freedom is just on fine-tuning these ones here. The settings, the temperature, but you already have the model built.
Yeah. So basically, guys, fine-tuning and just improving on what you have. So is it possible to use Keras to develop a content-based filtering algorithm?
Is it possible to use Keras to build
a content-based filtering algorithm?
Yes, it's possible to build a model with Keras that can do that. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, so
and I hope you've been able to appreciate what Keras and TensorFlow does and what this other model do as well. Like I told you, when you're trying to build a model, it's like you're trying to play with a function. Yeah. You're trying to approximate y as a function of x, and then once you have the model, and then when you're building this model, of course, the first thing that your model is going to do is to make a guesswork. You're going to make a guesswork and say, okay, I think what you're showing me is this. I think what you're showing me is this one here. Then you need to figure out the answer that I've given. How is it far from the ground truth? Then you get that difference. Yeah, you're going to get some differences somewhere. Then once you have the difference, you're going to figure out how to minimize that difference so that your function is give you correct answers. And the process of minimizing this is what we're actually calling learning. Yeah, this process involves some maths in it. It involves something called automatic differentiation in it. So this automatic differentiation, what helps you to do it is TensorFlow. And what helps you to define what you want to do is Keras. And you don't just necessarily need to have Keras on top of TensorFlow. You can also have Keras on top of a tool like JAX, for example, which is another automatic differentiator, or Keras on PyTorch, for example, which is another automatic differentiator. But all these help you to be able to approximate y as a function of x, or help you to be able to build a model. But here, what you're having here is you already have models that are built. You just need to figure out how do I use it in my code. Yeah.
Okay, so how can I create a multimodal prompt in Google AI Studio?
I think you can MLT?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Come again?
Okay, how can one create a multimodal prompt?
Yeah, what you know is that you can have a prompt that has different a prompt that has different inputs, where you can change the inputs. So if you use this text input, for example, you can be able to put different inputs to what you're having. Like, for example, asking, show me what's in this plate. Instead of show me what's in this plate, you can now go ahead and change what's on that plate to maybe this bowl or this other thing. So you can be able to change the variables with the text input. It allows you to change those variables from it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so why would somebody use structured prompts in Google AI Studio?
Why would someone use?
What are the benefits of using a structured prompts in Google AI Studio?
All right. So structured prompt allow you to. So if I go here again, you have different types of prompts. You have free prompt, structured prompt, and chat prompt. So with structured prompt, you're showing your model what you want to get. Yeah, that this is how to answer my questions. It's like you're guiding it on the kind of answers to gives you. That's why it's structured. So if you in some way don't want to use the models there they are and want to guide on how it gives you the answers, then structured prompt could be the best tool to use.
Okay, thank you so much, Ngesa. This has been a really, really wonderful session. I'm so happy that you're able to, make sure you finish your session and come to the end of it. We had such a good time on the session. I learned a lot. I'm sure everybody here learned a lot too. Thank you so much for actually, showing us, giving us a live demo of things that we could enjoy using the Google AI Studio and using the Gemini model. It was really nice to have you. And we're really happy that we got to do this. So thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much for joining. Sorry for the internet and the distractions here and there. Yeah. Thanks so much for listening.
Awesome. Thanks you everyone for joining in. The recording will be uploaded shortly to the YouTube channel. Just get in touch with your lead to share the recording details with you. If you're looking to follow Ngesa, I think he can also put his social channels in the chat. But everywhere on, just Google Ask Bad or Ask Google AI Studio. What are the social media links for Ngesa Marvin? I need to so he has already shared that in the chat. So definitely you can follow Ngesa and connect with him on social media. I think Emerald should also share us, so you can also follow her. So to find out all the details about Solution Challenge and ensure that you're not missing anything, I've also sent the link in the chat. So definitely check that out. And I will see you tomorrow for Android. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye, guys. It was nice having you guys here. Enjoy the rest of the evening.